NXT has really raised the bar with this whole TNA relationship, which back in the Vince McMahon days never would have happened. We don't mention TNA. We don't mention these other groups. Get out of here. No, they were. That's why I love what, I'm sure Triple H has a lot to do with this, because he's a wrestling fan.
Hello. It is me, your true heel phenom, SP3. We are back once again with another special edition of Smack Talk with the legendary editor, writer, publisher, photographer, wrestling media legend himself, Bill Apter. How are you doing?
Wow, thank you for that wonderful introduction. I was waiting for the brass band to come out.
I try my best. I'm getting really well at.
No, yeah, it's very, very, very good. You were, that was excellent. So, you know what I want to talk to you about to start with here? A lot of people are complaining pretty regularly that the WWE that used to have such a rich tag team division, now the tag team division is, it's not tag teams that really stayed together. They're put together tag teams. We've got the War Raiders, who are the champions. We'll get a couple of members of Judgment Day. We'll get Waller and Austin there. Yeah, Austin Theory. But no steady tag teams. And I really popped the other night when I was watching NXT when the No Quarter Crew challenged the Hardys to come to NXT. And I was going like, yeah, the Hardys have been around forever, but they're a major name still in tag team wrestling. And I'm hoping that from NXT, maybe somehow they will be put back into the WWE tag team picture to help invigorate that division, because I was a big tag team fan growing up. There were like 30 tag teams when I was a kid that I could name. But what do you think about the Hardys possibly coming back and maybe even challenging the War Raiders?
Well, I think that the whole direction here is more part of the TNA NXT relationship. So I think that that's the reason why you had Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne of the No Quarter Catch Crew, like you said, challenge the Hardys, the TNA World Tag Team Champions, on the February 18th edition of NXT. I think that this is a direction that they're going, because you can have the Hardys win, and then if you notice during the Hardys' whole response, they very much were directing things at the NXT Tag Team Champions, Fraxium. Yeah. And even more than like the War Raiders, who are a really strong host-like team, and over on SmackDown, they've really done a great job of putting back the focus on the tag team scene. We have a bunch of tag teams like DIY, Motor City Machine Gun, Street Profits, Pretty Deadly, Los Garza. But I think that the best tag team in WWE and all of WWE right now is Fraxium. It's Nathan Frazier and Axiom. They really give you those vibes of the Hardys from the late 90s to the early 2000s.
Absolutely.
Of the Motor City Machine Guns when they were tearing it up in TNA, of the Young Bucks when they were tearing it up in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then in AEW. Now the next generation of the Speedster tag team is Fraxium, and they are the best tag team, not just in WWE, in the entire world. So to have them go up against arguably the greatest tag team of all time in the Hardys, I think that's a big matchup that you can do WrestleMania weekend at Stand and Deliver. So I think that this challenge and them being back on WWE television next week is the start of the build to Hardys versus Fraxium, probably at NXT Stand and Deliver.
You said something that I'd like to see put in there 2 cents, so to say. You said the Hardys are arguably the best tag team of all time. I think they're up there with the Mount Rushmore of tag teams, but I think best tag teams of all time to me is generational. I can't put, when I think of tag teams, the first tag team I think about always is the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors.
100%.
I mean, to me, that was they were the best tag team.
So what's your Mount Rushmore? You brought it up. I'm gonna put you on the spot. What's your Mount Rushmore of tag teams?
Tully and Arn.
Okay.
The Road Warriors. Oh my goodness! The Fabulous Kangaroos, the original ones. Now I'm going way back.
That's a deep cut. That's a deep cut.
And then I'll put in Mark Lewin and Don Curtis.
Wow! All right.
My growing up days, yeah. But to me, the Road Warriors just were. When anybody mentions a tag team, that they're the first ones that come to mind. What about yours?
I think that probably the most crossover that we have is the Road Warriors. I think that I think you can't have a Mount Rushmore of tag teams without bringing up the Road Warriors. They were like the most popular tag team.
We're talking about 8 heads, by the way.
In the 80s. Yes. Eight heads, but Mount Rushmore of tag teams. I would go.
So who are your other 3?
I would go Road Warriors, Rock and Roll Express.
Oh yeah, I missed them.
I would go the Hardys, and then I like to develop everything of what I've seen from tag team wrestling, and I think that the Young Bucks have a strong argument. And I know I'm going to get ripped apart in the comments that, but I think that the Young Bucks have deserving for their impact and their influence on the industry and creating the biggest competition at WWE in the past 2 decades in AEW. Everything they did as far as merchandise and making the Bullet Club a mainstream property, the Hardys have an argument to be in that Mount Rushmore. So I'll put them in there, and I'll expect you in the comments to kill me.
Well, I would also add, if there was room for 2 more heads, I would put in the original Midnight Express.
Agreed. Yeah. When I said Rock and Roll Express, Bill, I literally was like, oh, I want to. They're so connected. I wanted to put them too, but I was like, I got to make room for the Hardys as well.
That whole time with the Crockett territory back then was so rich in tag teams. Oh, so 100%. Rich. And also now, when we're talking about the TNA thing, Moose has shown up at NXT to challenge. I always pronounce his name wrong. The champion.
Obafemi.
Okay.
The NXT champion.
His first name wrong.
He was looking for the new group that they have that's been doing these mystery attacks that started at Vengeance Day, but he was interrupted by the TNA X Division champion Moose, who made the challenge to Obafemi. Oba accepted, but we didn't get like an official announcement on when that's going to go down. But then Moose was challenged by NXT Heritage Cup champion Lexis King for the February 25th edition of NXT. So we're going to see Moose defend the X Division Championship coming up on next week's NXT. So that should be very interesting. What do you think
has been there like forever? It seems like he's been there. And he hasn't lost anything in terms of his ring skills and everything. And he's just, he's a real fixture on that TNA roster. And I'm glad to see him moving into the whole melding with TNA here.
Yeah, big moment for as far as like top stars in TNA. He's one of the biggest that has made the crossover, cross the line, as they say, over into NXT. So it's going to be interesting to see what's next for them. The last big thing that they had on NXT on the February 18th edition was Ricky Stark's big contract signing with NXT, where they revealed his new name, Ricky Saints, which is
he's going to have a whole group of relatives with him, and as they're coming out, they're going to sing, "Oh, when the Saints go marching in." They could do that.
Oh, when the Saints go march. Well, it's a play off of his hometown of New Orleans, the New Orleans Saints. So,
right. I didn't think of that. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, he actually revealed that on Busted Open Radio after his premiering of his name on NXT, and he makes his in-ring debut on the February 25th edition of NXT, which is a huge one from Cincinnati, Ohio, with the Hardys, Moose, and now Ricky Saints in-ring debut. So what did you think about the new name for Ricky?
They're making NXT must-see TV now, because since the partnership between TNA and WWE, NXT has really raised the bar with this whole TNA relationship, which back in the Vince McMahon days, never would have happened. We don't mention TNA. We don't mention these other groups. Get out of here. No, they were. That's why I love what, I'm sure Triple H has a lot to do with this, because he's a wrestling fan beside being who he is, and just to bring in these groups, and also these things that they're doing with the new independent situation here, grabbing guys from the indies. It's a whole new invigorating era in professional wrestling.